Hashem. We're back. A nice break. A very nice break. Hopefully, I'm sure you were tested in many different ways in your HaBitachon, in all the ways that we have learned, and I'm positive that people did better than they used to do. So we have to start Parak Daled. Now, Parak Daled is where the Chovos Levavos really goes l'maisa. I don't know. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Keep growing. Keep going. So, chapter 4, Parak Daled, is where the Chovos Levavos really takes all the Yesodas that he's been teaching and he starts to plug it in l'maisa. We've discussed a lot of l'maisa throughout the shiurim, but the Chovos Levavos is now going to do it in a very clear way, and we're going to learn it in our way, slowly. Hopefully we're going to, a lot of Siyata D'Shmaya, we're going to expand upon it, because even what the Chovos Levavos teaches, there's always more practical, there's other things that are l'maisa nowadays, subjective, that we have to expand these even what the Chovos Levavos teaching are Yesodos for us to take into our lives. So before that, I think it was Kedai. I bought a sefer recently. Every time I see a lot of Bitachon Svarim. I mean, there's a lot of Svarim coming out all the time, but specifically on Bitachon and Emunah, a lot of Svarim coming out. I mean, there's something for everybody. Not everything I look at, I find, for me personally, that I'm going to use it. I don't just buy them all. But this is one that came out very recently, I think from someone from London. I think his name is Avram Yisrael Schloss from Gateshead. Put it on Kislev and Pei Gimel. Who am I to say? He's much bigger than I am. He did a great job in many ways. And he also put in the back sikumim, summaries. Very nice summaries. Not because doesn't, but he puts it onto one page. So, as we probably understand, and it's always kedai to chazer and to review, is that since bitachon, trusting in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, is dependent on what we call a relationship. If you're going to trust somebody, you have to have a relationship with them. What does relationship mean? It means you deal with them, you think about them, you speak to them, you start to understand them. To build a trusting relationship, how long? That takes a long time. Business partners, husband and wife, a Rebbe maybe. It takes a while to build a relationship, A, and then B, a trusting relationship. Right? Those are two different levels. Relationship means there's contact, mental contact, emotional contact, physical contact, being together with the person, speaking to them. That's only step A, and that takes a lot of time. Then there's the trust. That's one of the most important nekudas in a long-lasting relationship. A relationship that's going to be real, that's going to be strong, that's going to be growth-oriented. To trust, it takes a long time. Not a week, not a month, not a snippet here, not just a maisa or this. It takes a long time to cultivate such a thing. I think this is Yadu. Therefore, we've been going through this very slow. Right? There's a lot of things that are being put into the world now with Emunah Bitachon. All good things. Everything has its place. But I would say that this is a little bit different. This is like a college course. Just trying to understand the Yesodos. Instead of just like a shot here and a shot there, and it's a chizik and inspiration, great. And today it helps. And they all do help. 100%. They're great. There's so many different things. Here we're trying to build the understanding, and slowly together with the understanding of what Bitachon is, to then actualize that relationship, that trusting relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now he already trusts us. How do we know that he trusts us? Right? Kadosh Baruch Hu to us, we have a relationship. Me and the Borei Olam. He trusts me. Right? In a trusting relationship, you need each one to trust each other. So how do you know how do I know that he trusts me?
First part when he created you.
I'm alive. If I'm alive, he trusts me. Very simple. He trusts me, and we discussed this, to fulfill the mission that he already implanted within me, whatever that is, that ultimate growth, that tachlis hatov, that ultimate Jew, me personally. which is a combination of ruchnius and gashmius and bitachon and amuna and raising a family and davening. It's this whole cholent of inner growth. So he trusts that I'm going to do that, and he guides me on the way. Sometimes it seems very nice the way. It's Yud Kei Vav Kei he's guiding me, Rachamim, Chesed, and sometimes to guide a child and to guide a Talmud, you need a little bit of a din, a little bit of concealment in order to arouse that person, to wake up and to push him back on the right derech that he kind of lost on the way. So Kadosh Baruch Hu trusts us, but now we have to come to trust in him. So the more we learn about him, the more we deal with him, we think about him, we understand him, we understand that everything that happens to us is HaKadosh Baruch Hu sending messengers to us. That's how he speaks to us. He speaks to us through the world events. He speaks to us through our personal, subjective events. He speaks to us through the way we think, the way we feel, the way our bodies work. The more we understand that, and the more we allow that to, percolate, I guess the word is, in our systems, then we can start building a trust and relationship towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what we're doing. So let's chazer over, before we start Perek Daled, this page that I gave you. So this is from the Sefer. It's called the Chaos of Shaar HaBitachon in a parish Ashrei Ish. It came out, Kislev. So he has over here, it's very nice. So it's two sides over here. On the top of the page it says Psicha, Shin, and Zayin, I think. So we're going to start from the beginning. This is the beginning of the Sefer, and through Perek Gimel, a quick summary to remind us where we're holding, and then we can go in Perek Daled with the Lamaisa. So the Psicha, the Eser Taliyah Shal Baal Bitachon, there's 10 positive effects. 10 means 10 Yesodei effects. There's millions and millions of different positive, beneficial effects that Bitachon has on us, but the 10 in general. So the first 5 are in Torah and Avodas Hashem, like obviously, and then the other 5 are in Olam Hazeh. So the Aleph, he says, and this is what we have to always remember, Hu b'menuchas hanefesh ke'eved biyad adon. That what does bitachon do for a person? It brings him to a state of menuchas hanefesh. If you truly have bitachon, or you're on the way to bitachon, bitachon is that feeling of menuchas hanefesh that you feel, that calm, that tranquility, when it doesn't matter what's going on in the world. It doesn't matter. When you are menuchas hanefesh, because you trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, that's called bitachon. Now I would just change the words here, just to, instead of ke'eved biyad adonov, I like to say keben biyad aviv. Bitachon is where the trust relationship, it can also be eved, depending which one you want to go. But it can also be a father to a son. Beis. Eino machnif lebnei adam ve'eino mechake tovasam ve'eino mefachim him. You don't have to flatter people. And if you trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and you believe that everything happens through him, because of him, then our dealings with people, although we will always have to deal with people, and we always have to be courteous and have proper midos, we don't have to become as emotionally attached, whether up or down, when we connect to people. We don't have to flatter the wealthy guy because we think that he's going to be the one who's going to save us and provide for us the parnasa. We have to flatter HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Flatter him through Torah and mitzvahs, flatter him through shvach, through tefillas. Ve'eino mechake tovasam. You don't have to expect, and you don't have to look for their tovos. Ve'eino mefachim him. You don't have to wait for their tovos. You're not scared of them. You're not waiting on people. You're dealing with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. People are messengers. Gimel sheyuchal esmas al avodas Hashem b'li daiga. You can throw yourself into avodas Hashem, whatever that means. Davening, regular shachris, they already daven, but without b'li daiga, without thinking about without thinking about yesterday, without thinking about the bills that are coming next month, or that big thing, or that. You could actually daven. If you have menuchas and nefesh, through bitachon, and you're calm, you can decompartmentalize these next 45 minutes to an hour. This where I'm in right now, I'm in a cell by myself, and I have my earplugs in, there's nothing else going on, I'm not thinking about anything else. I could daven to Kadosh Baruch Hu. This is what bitachon can and should do for a person. And we said that he's compared to the alchemist. I don't want to go through all the 10, but we know the alchemist who can make gold, the Baal Bitachon is even greater than him. I don't think I want to go through all those things. He's better. It's a better lifestyle. And Dal. Im yesh lo mamon, mishtamish bo l'kayim bo rotzen Hashem. If a person has money, then he's going to look to fulfill the rotzen Hashem, the will of God. Now, we haven't spoken out in detail yet what that is. We might all think we know what that is, but the Chovos HaLevavos is going to teach us what is the rotzen Hashem with money. He's actually a very good guide. What's the manager, money manager? Kadosh Baruch Hu knows, and he tells you how to. What's the word? Allocate your funds. I have to get back into my college days. I forgot these lashonos. Allocate your funds. Diversify. Got it. You have to have your mutual funds. You have to have your stocks, your bonds. How do you deal with your wife with money? How do you deal with your kids? How do you deal with friends? How do you deal with people who are asking for parnasa? Chovos HaLevavos has to teach us according to bitachon. How do you do that? We'll get there. So you always use your money to mekayim ratzon Hashem, however that plays out. And if you have no money, and you're bothered that you can't buy an esrog, you can't buy the matzah that you want to buy, you can't buy this, you can't do that, you can't help this person, now you're starting to feel bad, especially if you used to be the kind of person who could, and now you can't. You're going to see with bitachon, trusting in a Kadosh Baruch Hu, recognizing that the money that you have is exactly what a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants you to have, and your limits are exactly where a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to limit you. Now I don't have to feel bad emotionally. I don't have to feel bad emotionally that I cannot provide for this tzedakah that I used to. I think sadness in a certain way that I hope they can make it this year without my money. But you don't have to feel that achrayus, that responsibility that you used to feel, and therefore the emotional despondency maybe, because you cannot provide for them, because you trust that a Kadosh Baruch Hu gave you what he gave you, and this year you can't do. It's on the Borei Olam. He'll take care of them. Of course, there's a certain, you feel bad for them, but not in a yeyish, an atzos type of way.
It's very hard though, because somebody, let's say, comes to you, you've been able to help them all the time, and now you have to say to them, I'm so sorry, I now can't. It's a hard conversation. You still have to feel for this person. Of course, I wish I can, and maybe I can give you a number. But klape, the money, it's of course difficult. But we still need, just because, right, we've discussed this many times. Bitachon, you don't go to the person now you can't give the money, right? This person comes to your door. Hey, David, Shlomo, you remember last year you helped me $1,000. I need it again this year. I'm making a chasana. And you go to the guy, listen, buddy, let me tell you something. I'm sorry I don't have the money this year, but I've been learning Chovos HaLevavos, Shaar, HaBitachon. Maybe you should learn it also. And if you have bitachon, you'll be okay. Don't worry about it. Like, thank you. Have a nice day. That we call that rishus. Right? That's not how ben adam chavero. You don't put bitachon on somebody else. You have to remember, bitachon is for us. We have to realize we trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and He wants us to deal with people in an appropriate way, not just throw ruchnis on them. Okay. But yes, we have to learn how do we call it? There was a I don't want to say the name of the book, but there was a book that I once read that he called a certain way of seeing life called thin slicing. Those who know. We have to learn how to slice up a situation. A guy comes to the door and he wants the money, and you don't have the money. So immediately flooded inside of the person, there are many different emotions and thoughts in a second. We have to learn how to slice it and separate. There's, how do I deal with this person emotionally, ben al chavero, and how do I deal with this situation emotionally, ben adam l'malka? We have to learn how to separate. And with bitachon, with the clarity, I think, with the clarity of how situations in this world are running according to Kadosh Baruch Hu, we have more of an ability to do that. Okay. Hey, hayachas shelo el mamon shu ki pikad me'Hashem. My relationship to money. What is your relationship to money? We have a relationship with wives, we have a relationship with children, we have relationships to friends and rabbanim, and we have a very, very serious relationship with our money. We're related to it. I worked hard for it. So how do we look at that relationship according to bitachon? The money is kipikadin me'Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has all the money in the world. Liya kasef liya zav. Hashem says all the money's mine, but He puts it into people's bank account. Right? He's diversifying His funds into all of our accounts. It's His money. It's not our money, and we're diversifying into accounts, but it's my money. No. Kadosh Baruch Hu has all the money. He gives it to each person according to what he decides. And he's diversifying it in our bank accounts. And then we, it's like a bank. We're like the bank. That's exactly what it is, right? Isn't that what banks do? They take some guy, Mr. X's money, and then they diversify funds and make more money and then hopefully don't crash. But it's not the bank's money. They just use it to help people or make money for themselves, whatever it is. We are a bank. We are not the end. We are just the middlemen. This takes a very long time. This takes a very long time to change that. I mean, everything in the world is saying that's not true. Your Gaiva is saying that's not true. Your Taiva is saying that's true. Your Kavod is saying that's not true. I mean, everything in the world is saying that's not true. But that we have to know the emes first, and then let it trickle down. We are just a bank. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides to withdraw that money from you, does the bank manager get upset? I mean, maybe he does, but should he? It doesn't make any sense. It's not his money. Sometimes the HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives. Sometimes the HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes. He puts it somewhere else. But it's all the to'elis, hatov for the world, for you. You have to learn to trust and believe in that. Ve'enu nishan alav. There's no point of relying on that money because it's not up to you anyway. It's not yours. And if you lose some, thank you, Kadosh Baruch Hu. What was the svara he gave? Well, how are you going to come to thank a Kadosh Baruch Hu when you lose money? It's very high level. But with money comes responsibility. Right? If you look at the money properly, with money comes a lot of responsibility. And those who are in that world of the responsibility that they feel when they have money, because they do try to be Mekayim the Ratzon Hashem, it's a heavy yoke. Those who learn Torah for a living, they know that every moment matters. And if they're Mavatal Torah, it means a lot. There's a heavy yoke on them to learn. Those who provide for other people, organizations, there's a heavy yoke when they have money. So, Hodul Hashem, now they don't have that yoke anymore. Now, you might need Daled to not feel bad anymore, right? Bitachon, but there's a hodah for everything in the world. Okay. Weiter, Hato'aliyos binyanei olam hazeh.
That works, let's say, personally, which is very, very difficult already. But if you own a business and you have to pay your employees, Hodul Hashem that I can't pay payroll.
No, that's not what he said. That's not what he said. We're talking about a person, we're not talking about people that you're achrayus to. We're talking about a person personally doesn't. Okay. Yeah, no. When it comes to other people, again, we have to be very careful. Hodul Hashem, yeah, be very careful. So I'm saying when it comes to other people, it's a whole other way of connecting. What is it? We have to learn Ben Adon L'Chaveru. We have to learn V'ahavta L'Orecha Kamocha B'Iyan for the next 6 years to know what that means. Okay, Tolios Binyanei Olam Hazeh. How is Bitachon going to help us in this world, in worldly matters? Aleph Menuchas Halev Menadaigas Hu B'Shav B'Olam Hazeh. Very similar to above. It's Menuchas Halev. Why? What is everybody looking for in this world? Tranquility, happiness. So what do? They grab at every opportunity to bring them happiness. For most people, it's money, because money equals happiness. We know that's not true, but we still do it. Bitachon actually brings a person to Menuchas HaNefesh. Doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank. The Baal Bitachon has zero in the bank, and he's infinitely happier than the non-Baal Bitachon who has infinite dollars in his bank. That's a crazy thing. We want to get to that point. Now, it's going to take some time, but we want to be on that derech. So Bitachon brings a person Menuchas Halev. I've discussed people in this Chabura that they lost money and yet they were calm. Kadosh Baruch Hu withdrew from the account. Hodul Hashem. It's going to be okay.
So what's it going to be? Menuchas HaNefesh and Menuchas Halev?
I think it's the same thing, really. It's the same thing. Menuchas HaNefesh is fancy. It's for Torah, and this is Menuchas Halev. Gashmias. I don't know.
The next two are Menuchas HaNefesh.
Yeah, I don't know. Menuchas Halev and Adaigos, but from all types of worrying in this world about all the different types of things, whatever it may be. Money, children, family stuff, that the sun is going to go out after 10 billion years. You heard about this? The sun is going to go out in 10 billion years or something like that, right? Remember growing up hearing that. Never heard such a thing? No, the scientists say, in like another billion years, the sun is actually going to lose its power, and then that's it. In a billion years, don't worry. You have a few more years left. But this is what people are worried by. No, never heard that one? Or the ozone layer one? The ozone layer is getting very large, and soon the sun is going to burn us. Right? But it might just take another million years. So you have a few years to worry about it. So the whole world is worrying. The whole world is worrying. Yeah, you in the back. Oh boy.
If I brought it up, I had the pleasure of reading the other day.
Oh, I know. I know you read the other day.
What?
You told me.
I told you.
Yeah, you told me.
That they found
Oh boy.
in the universe a hole, a black hole, 30 billion times the size of the sun. From a university in
30 billion.
So I wouldn't worry about whether the sun's going. There's a whole.
Yeah, there's tons of universities.
But we think it's funny,
no,
but
it's
it's not just the science. There's all of these things that we hear in I don't want to say the word, the news. I'm sorry I said it. I know over here we don't say those words here, but in the news there's a lot of things that you hear like that. Whether it's, here's another one. Now this is going to hit home. I know, I'm sorry, but I was told by a family member that Social Security, I'm not exactly sure what this thing is, Social Security is not going to have any money for any of us. Maybe me, and maybe, I don't know what your age is. I was told by the time I get there, I'm going to have there's going to be no point of Social Security is out, and I should start worrying now. I need IRAs and all the other 3-letter combinations that you
worry
can.
about it.
Oh, I wouldn't worry about it because it's a Bari Olam, or because
I wouldn't worry about it because everything takes care of itself.
because it's a Kadosh Baruch who runs the world.
That's the way the world is programmed. These are all nourished
Easy
people.
for him to say. He's
This is the way the world is programmed. I've been hearing this 40 years. There'll be money. Tomorrow there'll be...
No, but this is the emes is there's a Bari Olam who runs the world. There's nothing to worry about. But if you have the proper perspective, you can look back at what Zaparka was saying, and I see it in my young years. They're saying this for 40 years already, and they're still saying it. All of these things, like the stock market drops, life's over. That happened 15 years ago. It happened 25 years ago. It's a cycle. That's how Kadosh Baruch Hu made it. It's the teva of the world. It's like up and then down a little bit, but then it's up more. Then it's down really big, but then it comes up a little bit, and then everybody's life, it's everything. So do you want to be emotionally up and I hate roller coasters. I can't do it. I don't like when airplanes go up and down. So maybe people like roller coasters. But why would you want to live emotionally like that? It hurts me to think about it. Let's be talking, nothing changes. Ani Hashem lo shaniti, right? If we can tap into this, if we can have that relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, we're learning about it now. We have to build it. One of the main ways, I'm just going to keep throwing it back, review. One of the main ways to build a relationship, and the Chovos HaLevavos does not really speak about it much at all. Maybe he's maramis to it once or twice, but I was trained heavily from Bilvavi, Sifrei Bilvavi. You have to use your dibur. Don't just think it. Say it. Dibur is much closer to the heart than the mind is. Right? So the more you speak about something, it gets it into the heart more. Right? We could talk ourselves. We could talk ourselves into something that we didn't believe, or what do salespeople do? Now it could be it's emes, but you could take a person who says no, and you could turn it into a yes by talking, not by thinking. That guy, if you ask him, "Do you want this?" No, and then he walks away. He's going to think no. But through dibur, we know that we can change a person's heart. So whatever we're learning here, which is intellectual, you need to put it out to yourself. Talk to yourself. Talk to Kadosh Baruch Hu. But you have to put it into dibur. Very, very powerful. Chovos HaLevavos does not really speak about it. Once in a while, maybe you could see he says it, but really doesn't bring it. Hemanti ki adaber, David Mel says. We'll always bring that for the Sifrei Chassid to say that. Hemanti ki adaber. Okay. So, Bitachon stops us from this narishkeit of all these worries. And a lot of them are just crazy stuff. People get caught up in this crazy stuff. Beis menuchas hanefesh, melechet b'drachim harachokim. Menuchas hanefesh could prevent a person from that feeling that he has to travel far. Let's say for parnasa or for other things. Now some people like that. Great. But for those who do not enjoy that, you're not obligated if a Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want you to go. To prevent yourself. Like we learned that Maisa with the chassid, right? He went across the world looking for parnasa. He found that, Baal Avodah Zarah, and he starts making fun of him. What do you serve? You're serving some Avodah Zarah, Baal Por or something. And then the Baal Avodah Zarah says back to him, who do you serve? Oh, me, I serve the Rebbeinu Shalom. Kadosh Baruch Hu is everything. He's a Kol Yachol, he provides, everything is a Kadosh Baruch Hu's. So what did the Baal Avodah Zarah say to him? You're a walking contradiction. If your God really is everything and can provide anything, why'd you leave your hometown to come for money? He could provide for you money in your hometown. And it says the Chovos Vavos, that person never left town ever again. Some say that was the Chovos Vavos himself. I don't know. We weren't there. I don't think anybody was there who's reading the Sefer. It's 1,000 years ago. Over 1,000 years ago. But Al Kapanim, we don't have to travel if a Kadosh Baruch doesn't want us to. And if we have true bitachon and it comes out that we have to travel, Al Tidag. This is what you have to do. Gimel, Menuchas HaNefesh v'Haguf militrod b'malachos ha'maya'ifos oso v'ha'makeves osam mila'avdu Hashem. Bitachon will provide again Menuchas HaNefesh and a calm and also a relaxed body. From what? From working so hard. Person who's bitachon doesn't have to work so hard. A lot of that which we become tired from is the emotional stress. That takes the body. A lot of us are sitting in offices all day. Why are you so tired coming home? Why are you dragging your feet? Why are you falling asleep so early? You sat in a cubicle. I'm not talking to anybody here. I'm just making a joke, obviously. But the answer is the emotional stress of the person. It tires the guf. But we don't, with Menuchas HaNefesh, with bitachon, you don't have to have that emotional stress, the worry, the daigas, the insecurities, this pechadim. And you can come and you could be alive. Right? Come home, family, learning, davening. Chiyas. Dalid miyut sabr masachar. We don't have to be so in so much pain. At work, with bitachon, it alleviates the pain, the worry, the anxiety, the stress. If I can't collect the what's it called? Thank you. If I can't collect the debt, the money doesn't come in exactly this month, whatever it may be. The person doesn't have to be in that place of tsar. That doesn't mean he just sits on his laurels. But he doesn't have to be emotionally in pain about it. You could be b'menuchas HaNefesh and also do Ishtabas. It's not a steer. Hey, simcha b'chol matzav she'over. A person can be b'simcha in every situation that comes to him. And if it's a good situation, B'rit Hashem, we should be happy. Not everybody's so happy. But even I feel if it's not a good situation, a person can be happy even in the lowest of times. Now that doesn't mean that if a person passes away and you want to work on simcha, you want to work bitachon, then you start smiling at the speidim like, hey, simcha, no, everybody, guys, lebedik, bitachon, why is everybody so sad? Well, someone just passed away. No, don't. It's okay, they're going to Olam HaEmes, it's okay, Kadosh Baruch Hu loves you, he takes care of you. That would be inappropriate. A person can also cry about a person who passed on. That doesn't mean he's not b'simcha. B'simcha, you have to know what b'simcha is a whole sugya. B'simcha also means living a life according to the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants it to be, and you know that you're doing what you're supposed to do. Meaning, a person could cry at a hesped, and it could be in a velus, but there's a certain sense of, I'm doing what I have to do. This is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to do. It's an inner simcha. But I'm not going to get into that now, but it's wholly dependent on bitachon. Trusting that this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted. It's still sad. It's not sad when a person passes on. It's sad. This person I had a relationship with, now that's broken. I'm not going to see that person anymore. There's something sad about that. But that's not depressing necessarily. Hopefully it shouldn't be depressing. It shouldn't be getting to a state of yish. Right? So with bitachon, we can properly organize even our emotions. HaKadosh Baruch Hu only does what's good for him. Like by David HaMelech. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the mother, and we're like the child. These are all the benefits we learned a long time ago of what bitachon can do for a person. Okay, next page. Then we got into Parak Aleph. We start going into the technical understanding. So Mahus HaBitachon, the essence of Bitachon in Parak Aleph was literally this long, the whole Parak Aleph. Menuchas HaNefesh, that's the litmus test. Menuchas HaNefesh, a calm soul. You're not always running. People don't even realize they're always running. It's in the chest. It's like right over here. It's not always in your head, where you don't recognize your head. It's here. You always feel like you have to go somewhere, be somewhere. There's always something to worry about. You know what I'm talking about? You ever get that like right over here a little bit? Menuchas HaNefesh somech al misha batach bo. You're able to rely on the one that you're trusting in. Sheyasa mata shatov lo. I trust in a Kadosh Baruch Hu because I believe that He will do what's best for me in all situations, whether I understand it or I don't understand it. And since I believe He will do what's best for me, therefore I could trust Him, meaning I could be at ease. I could be calm. I might still have to do hishtadlus. I'm going to go to work today. But whatever happens today, I'm going to put my kochos in. Whatever happens today is exactly the way He wants it because I trust Him that He will do what's best for me. A person wants to meditate during the day, before work, after work. You want to meditate? Bitachon is a meditation. You can turn anything in this sefer into a meditation. Anything. It could become a mantra. Any of these lines in the sefer. Shekai masha amar v'yasa tov gam asher lo hisna lo betur v'dov v'chesed. That even HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to do the best for me, whether I deserve it, and He's going to do good for me, even if I don't deserve it. He's always doing chasadim for me, above and beyond what maybe I deserve. That's part of bitachon. That's a high level trust, because we said Chavos had to catch himself. Maybe Hashem will only do what's good for me if I deserve it. But then you would never be able to fully trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, because you could always be worried in the back of your mind, maybe I don't deserve. Now, once you have a maybe, suffix is the antithesis of trusting. Trusting means I'm putting my heart, I'm putting everything into this. Well, here it's only the baril. If a person wants to be truly calm, he has to be able to put everything into it. There can't be any maybes. We have to get to that point. Shekai Masha Amar v'Yasagim. Fine. Parak Beis and Parak Gimel. So we had Chamesh Hakdamas. There's 5 Hakdamas that we learned through Parak Beis and Gimel that a person needs in order to be able to fully trust in a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Trusting means coming to Menuchas HaNefesh through putting your whole self into the one you're trusting. But we need 5 other qualifications. Now, the first of the 5, if you remember, were the 7 conditions of knowing HaKadosh Baruch Hu's power and how He operates this world, which are all basically understandings of Emunah, belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. For instance, 7 Tanaim, he says in Aleph, 7 Tanaim, shetzrichim lahamin bahem kedei liftoch b'Hashem. 7 conditions that you have to believe in to come to trust. Remember, Emunah and Bitachon. Emunah is more in the head, Bitachon's in the heart. So this whole sefer, again, is a sefer of Emunah, really. But he's getting you to Bitachon. Right? If you go in the whole sefer, and yet you're still nervous, then you might have Emunah, but you don't have Bitachon. Number 1, Shumarachim. Kadosh Baruch Hu is the ultimate merciful one. We have to believe that. That's a belief. Can I prove that? Can't prove it. You have to believe it. Got to throw yourself into it. 2, Shuachacham v'yodei masha tovach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the wisest. He knows what's good for each one of us and the world at large, and for Klal Yisrael. And He knows. You have to believe that. Because when things happen that are happy and good, oh, Hashem knows me. And when things happen in the exact opposite, and it's in your face, and it hurts, and it's painful, why would a Kadosh Baruch Hu do this to me? You ever have that thought go through your head? Why? I spoke to a person on Friday. This is what he's asking. And I feel for him. He's in pain. He's in pain. He's in shidduchim. And he's in a lot of pain. And the words that are coming out of his mouth are, why is the Kadosh Baruch Hu doing this to me? Now, I didn't say, Golden Shaar Chavos Avos, Shaar HaBitachon. He spoke to him. But we have to know, and we have to download this, because we also ask this question sometimes in a large way. Sometimes we don't really ask it, it's very subtle. But the Kadosh Baruch Hu knows what he's doing. You have to believe that. And the opposite, right? That which the Kadosh Baruch Hu sends, the pain, I was learning on Shabbos yesterday with some chevra, when a Kadosh Baruch Hu sends us pain, it's only to bring out of ourselves the best. We know this. This is, you're getting, texts about this all the time. But we have to download it, not just as a snippet. You have to really, really believe it, and then come to trust the Kadosh Baruch Hu. That even in the face of adversity, because I know this is for my best. But to truly, truly live it. Gimel. Hachazak, kol shechafetz asa. Kadosh Baruch Hu is the strongest in the world. Whatever he wants goes. 4. Shua mashgiach ve'eino ne'el mimenu tzarachecha. Kadosh Baruch Hu, guide, he watches over everything, he knows. He's the one who gives you chesronos. He knows what you need. Daven for it. You have to do ashtadus, you have to daven for it. But know that he will provide for you. 5. Shelo levado hakoch mishal. Only Kadosh Baruch Hu has the koch in this world. Nobody has any other koch. Everything else in this world is a messenger. Okay. 6. We're not done yet. 6. Shehu osa chesed gamim ein roi lakach. That Kadosh Baruch Hu does chesed for a person, for me, for you, for Klal Yisrael, even if we do not deserve it according to our calculations. We don't know the real calculation. Doesn't matter what you think about yourself. HaKadosh Baruch Hu still can provide for you, still trust. A child who does a million things wrong, and then he comes to his parents, I need breakfast. His parents will say, no, you did 100 things wrong yesterday. You punched your sister, you were disrespectful, you didn't wear what I want you to wear. No breakfast for you. The kid's going to get breakfast. The kid could trust. He's going to wake up in the morning and there'll be food in the pantry. That takes time to believe in that in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Because everything in the world says not that way. For all the Yetzer Haras. 7. Kol hamikra mimenu. All happenings. All events. All the news that you read is all from him. There is no exception. Ever. What is he telling us with that? Different story. The Aleph is every event comes from him. So the Muskal Rishon, right, the first thought that should go into our heads in any situation is God. It's him. What do you want? Okay, we'll get to that. But get it straight first, because if you don't get that straight, then you're off the derech. You're mamish off the derech. Who knows where your thoughts can go, where your emotions are going to be, where your actions in response to that stimuli from the outside, what they're going to be. It could be totally off. It could be Averis mamish. We have to become aligned. In Yochel Echad, La'acher, La'haktim, you cannot push off or bring earlier. La'harbos L'mayit, you can't make something more or less. Mima, Shagazer, Habori, Yisbarach, from that which a Kadosh Baruch Hu decided, decreed. These Tanaim take a long time to believe. But you cannot fully trust in a Kadosh Baruch Hu. You cannot be at that state of calm at work with your family unless you believe in these 7. We have to chazer over these. They should be, I think we sent that a thing a long time ago. You should take this and look it over every single day. You have to build a relationship with these intellectual with these beliefs, before you can build a true relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. It don't just work. You can't just eat the sefer. You have to think about it. You have to work on it. You have to believe it. If you want it to really, really work. And I've spoken to people here where they utilize these nekudas that we've learned in the sefer, and they're able to go through, handle situations in a totally different way than before. We want to live with this all the time. This is the real stuff. Chavos Avavos, Shaar HaBitachon. Everything else is good, but this is it. This is the meat and potatoes. Beis. Again, we're in the 5 conditions to fully trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So we had, the first condition was 7 conditions. So the first Akdama was 7 conditions, 7 beliefs you have to have in the Kadosh Baruch Hu to be able to trust in him. Beis, Shia Bitchonu Shava B'Peh V'Lev. That your bitachon in the Kadosh Baruch Hu you can't just speak out, Meretz Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Meretz Hashem. And in your heart you mean, I hope it works out for me, I hope it works out for me, I hope it works out for me. No. Meretz Hashem means, if Hashem wants it to happen. Bezos Hashem means, if Hashem will help. And you really mean that in your heart. It can't be your mouth saying one thing and your heart means something else. Trusting has to be real. Gimel, Shalov Toch B'Hashem V'Gam B'Luzilasa. This is very difficult. You have to be able to fully trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Means there's nobody else you trust in. You can't trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu and the doctor. You can only trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and he sent a messenger called the doctor, Dr. So-and-so. Dalet, we have to finish up. Lola Hamro So. You can't rebel against God. So to do Averis, Lahachis, to rebel, that's going to prevent you from fully trusting in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Not that he will not provide for us. We learned this at length many times. Kadosh Baruch Hu can still provide for you if you rebel against him. But you will not be able to fully trust in God if you're at the same time rebelling against him. It's just not shaykh. And hey, to know all events, all situations, all reasons, causes come from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And in that way you can go into work. This is what we learned last. The only way you can go into a parnasa, whether getting a job, which means I believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me certain characteristic traits, and being at the job. HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs every single facet of this company, worldwide and in this company. It's all from him. This parnasa that I'm with is only one of the reasons, is only one of the causes out of the billions of things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu do. He decided that this is going to be for me. And nothing can ever be completed. We'll get back to this. Nothing, there's no exception to this. Nothing can be completed unless the HaKadosh Baruch Hu decrees. We can put all of our efforts in and we can get to the end, but the finish line is only HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we have a little bit more to go. We have to finish now, but we're going to chazer over. It's kedai to look this over again and again. The only way that a person can get to bitachon is if he puts himself into it. Shuzach.